I'm Danny Kanell with CBS Sports HQ, here to help you with your bowl preview. We're breaking down all 40 bowl games. The latest, the Outback Bowl, the classic Big Ten versus SEC matchup. You've got Auburn as a 7.5-point favorite versus Minnesota. Bring in my guys Chip Patterson and Barrett Sallee to help me with this one. Maybe you guys can help me out with figuring out a way for Minnesota to keep this one close, because I think Auburn's defense is stout. I think their offense will find a way to move the ball against Minnesota. I'd take them in the 7.5, lay the 7.5 all day long. Chip, are you on board?
Nah, man, we're out here. We're rowing that boat. And a little bit is, as we approach every single bowl game, trying to understand the motivation, trying to figure out what kind of decisions are going to be made by players. And even if players decide not to sit out of a bowl game, if they still want to dress and if they still want to go through the experience of starting the game, I do think that, snap counts, we're not going to put anybody in a position to get hurt. But Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson already turned down the NFL draft once to come back for their senior season and lead a memorable 9-3 year that finished with that great Iron Bowl win against Alabama. I wonder how many snaps they're going to play in this game. And if you lose Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown from that defensive line, Big Cat Bryant, also Nick Coe. There's just a lot of players that, there's going to be a lot to consider beyond just playing Minnesota. And so, as I start to look at Minnesota, this is a Super Bowl type moment for PJ Fleck and this team. They're very disappointed about the way things finished in that snowy game against Wisconsin when they had the Big Ten West on the line. And I think that with Tanner Morgan and Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson, you've got a Minnesota offense that is at least powered by some real NFL talent. And that's something that I don't think Minnesota, and I don't even think a lot of Big Ten teams are able to say in terms of the way that they're able to stress opposing defenses with the passing game. And then on the other side of this, if Bo Nix does get a little bit loose with the ball, we've seen Antoine Winfield just make quarterbacks pay for bad decisions. You're giving me 7 and a hook. And we've got a lot of future NFL talent that are not just draft eligible, but seniors. Yeah, I'll take the Gophers on this one.
I will too. That hook is the important part too, because if a touchdown gets me a Minnesota win, I'll take that all day long. And you mentioned it's a Super Bowl atmosphere for PJ Fleck, and you're right. It's huge for them. But it goes back to something that I've been saying for a long time. I don't trust Auburn's offense against good defenses. Go back even to the Iron Bowl. They had to have the 2 pick sixes. And when you look at how this offense operates, you mentioned Antoine Winfield, Chip. He's going to capitalize on Bo Nix. Auburn's offense is as predictable as the sunrise. The plays work when they block and when the quarterback doesn't take chances. But Bo Nix will take a few chances, and I don't think that they will pay off against a Minnesota secondary and a Minnesota defense that has a month to prepare and a full season of game film to sort of break down. So I just think that Auburn, defensively, they're going to be fine. Even if some guys are on snap counts or sit out, they are loaded defensively, especially at the coordinator spot with Kevin Steele. So he'll find a way to at least shut down Tanner Morgan. But this Auburn offense, I've stopped trusting Gus Malzahn. I think he needs some help. I think he'll get that help this offseason now that Kenny Dillingham has left. But I just don't see in this game them changing all that much. I think it's going to be pretty vanilla. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. I do think Auburn wins. But again, that hook is important. I'll take Minnesota to cover.
You guys are nuts. I think Auburn has too much talent here. If this defense held LSU to 23 points, how many points do you think Minnesota's going to score? I don't think enough. And I think the confidence booster that comes for Bo Nix specifically, and I know he didn't have the best game. He didn't light up Alabama's defense, but he got a win. And that was, kind of the thing that eluded them this season was getting that kind of signature win, going back aside from the Oregon game. But give him those extra 15 practices. Give him a chance to settle into this system. Another few weeks for Boobie Whitlow to get healthier in this spot. And I just can't envision a scenario where Minnesota is able to match them point for point, which brings me up to, so I'm taking Auburn laying the points. The total is a very low, and this is expected, 51.5. I am going to lean towards the under in large part because I think Minnesota's really going to struggle to put up more than 10 points. Are you guys, what side are you taking on the total here?
Under. Like Barrett said, Auburn unders have been really good this year.
Yeah, they have.
Auburn LSU was 23-20. Until the Iron Bowl, an Auburn under has just been like a well that you could drink fresh spring water out of every single weekend. So I'm going to go back to this. We've got the early New Year's Day start. We've got a really, really good Auburn defense, as Barrett mentioned, an Auburn offense that runs the ball a lot. And what happens when you run the ball a lot? That clock, baby, it just melts right off the board. So I'll be on the under.
Yeah, I am too. This screams 21-17, 20-14, 17-14. This is going to be an ugly game. And you mentioned the hangover noon kickoff on New Year's Day. These games typically don't get very weird. I think this is going to be a defensive-driven game. I don't think that you're going to get anywhere close to that 51.5. So I will pound that under. And though I do think that Bloomin' Onion gets the win, and we all get to feast on those Bloomin' Onions, I think it's going to be a pretty ugly 60 minutes to sit through before we get our reward.
All right, so we may disagree on the outcome as far as the spread goes. Beth Barrett and Chip both like Minnesota and the touchdown and a hook dog there, but we all are in agreement on the under 51.5. The Outback Bowl, Auburn versus Minnesota, New Year's Day at 1 p.m.